Now, there have been more protests in the country following the deaths of 25 people in a police raid in the state of Rio de Janeiro. Protesters marched outside police headquarters and demanded an investigation into the raid, which ended with the deaths of 24 residents of the Jacarezinho favela and one policeman. The demonstrators held banners calling for justice while criticising police tactics during the raid.
Today, we are dying in Brazil for 3 reasons: lack of vaccines, then COVID, and also from hunger. On top of that, we see our poor black people dying in massacres at the hands of the police.
The United Nations is calling for an independent investigation into the operation.
So it appears, as you say, that collectively, they're not succeeding in stopping these kind of really disturbing, over-the-top lethal operations. So something clearly is wrong there. As I mentioned, the Federal Supreme Court has been involved in the issue and had issued a specific ruling back in 2020 restricting police operations. So you're right, something's not working, or a lot of things are not working. And I think there probably needs to be a collective review, as we suggested, really a broad review of what is going wrong and how to fix it.
Well, in other developments, Brazil's president is already casting doubt on next year's election using the same tactics as Donald Trump. Without presenting any evidence, Jair Bolsonaro said Brazil's electronic voting system allowed for widespread fraud in 2018. He claimed that he should have won in the first round. He says there won't be a vote in 2022 unless Congress approves the adoption of paper ballots. Well, in the UK, the ruling Conservative Party has scored a significant election victory in a town that's traditionally been a stronghold of its main opponents. The Conservatives decisively won the vacant parliamentary seat of Hartlepool that's been held by the opposition Labour Party for more than 50 years. Rory Challens has more on the significance of a dramatic day of voting in the northeast of England.
Box by box, bag by bag and vote by vote, the Hartlepool count through the night tallied up the size of this seat's electoral realignment. The Conservatives ended up with twice as many votes as Labour in a former industrial constituency that has been red for generations.
I'm incredibly proud of the campaign my team and I have run in Hartlepool. It's based on local issues of real concern to the community here. And I would like to thank all of the people of this great town who've responded so positively to it. I'm also immensely proud to be the first Conservative MP in Hartlepool for 57 years.
An inflatable Boris Johnson sprung up overnight, anticipating the win. With victory in the bag on Friday afternoon, Hartlepool got the real thing.
This is a place that voted for Brexit, and we got Brexit done, and then we're able to do other things, thanks to that.
Johnson is enjoying a bumper poll boost, winning in working-class pro-Brexit areas like Hartlepool that never used to vote for his party. The UK's successful COVID vaccine programme has certainly played a part, but so have the struggles of the main opposition parties. One of Hartlepool's most famous sons doesn't exist in real life. Andy Capp was a working-class newspaper comic strip character and a neat encapsulation of Labour's current electoral problems in the north. Now, if Andy could actually vote, he probably never would have considered voting anything other than Labour. Then in 2016, he might well have voted for Brexit and then the Brexit Party. Now, though, Andy is most likely voting Conservative. Whether it be down to Brexit, COVID or personality, Labour's new leader Keir Starmer hasn't yet managed to reconnect with the large parts of the country that deserted his party in the 2019 general election, handing Labour its worst defeat since 1935.
Very often we've been talking to ourselves instead of to the country, and we've lost the trust of working people, particularly in places like Hartlepool. I intend to do whatever is necessary to fix that.
But a fix won't be easy.
It is something that's difficult, but I don't think it's impossible. And I think it's by thinking carefully about which voters might be within reach for the party and how to reconnect with those, rather than trying to win over everybody when some of those voter groups maybe have moved too far away from the party now.
The results of the country's many other local elections for councils, mayors and assemblies will come in over the next few days. That picture isn't yet as clear-cut as Hartlepool, but so far it's looking strong for the Conservatives too. Rory Challens, Al Jazeera, Hartlepool in northeast England.
And one other story to bring you. China is saying that debris from its latest rocket launch is highly unlikely to cause any harm, even though nobody actually knows where or when it will land. The remains of the Long March 5B rocket have been sighted above the United States in what the country's Space Command is calling an uncontrolled re-entry. It was launched just over a week ago, carrying the first part of China's new space station, and is expected to come down to Earth at some point over the weekend, most likely in the ocean.
This type of rocket is specially designed so most of its components will disappear and be destroyed during the re-entry process. The probability of causing harm to activities in the air and on the ground is extremely low. The government departments covering this will promptly report the situation to the public.
So more detail on everything we're covering right here, aljazeera.com. You can get all the latest on our top stories, but also analysis there that takes you behind the headlines. Recap of the main stories now. At least 53 Palestinians have been injured during clashes after Israeli authorities stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Muslim worshippers were gathering at the site for Friday prayers, the last of the holy month of Ramadan. Chairs, rocks and shoes were thrown at security forces who opened fire with rubber bullets. There are concerns the next major coronavirus outbreak could be underway in Nepal. Nearly half of all tests being carried out there are coming back positive, and it's even higher in other parts of the country. Doctors are warning of a major crisis, with hospitals already running out of oxygen and beds. It comes as neighbouring India recorded another 414,000 cases in just one day, as the Prime Minister continues to resist a lockdown. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has given its approval to a Chinese-made vaccine for the first time.
This afternoon, WHO gave emergency use listing to Sinopharm Beijing's COVID-19 vaccine, making it the 6th vaccine to receive WHO validation for safety, efficacy, and quality. This expands the list of vaccines that COVAX can buy and gives countries confidence to expedite their own regulatory approval and to import and administer a vaccine.
The former president of the Maldives is in a critical condition after being injured in a bomb attack outside his home. Doctors say Mohammed Nasheed, who's the current Speaker of Parliament, has had multiple operations. Police are now investigating what they've called an act of terrorism, and the president has branded it an attack on democracy. Over in Brazil, there have been more protests there after the deaths of 25 people in a police raid in the state of Rio de Janeiro. Protesters marched outside police headquarters and demanded an investigation into the raid, which ended with a shootout in one of the city's favelas. One police officer was among those killed. Well, those are the top stories this hour. The Stream is the programme coming up next. Do stay with us for that. But there will be more news afterwards in about 25 minutes' time. I'll have a roundup of all the day's main stories for you. Bye for now.
Hi, I'm Femi OK. Today we revisit the music of Indigenous artists who've played right here on the Stream stage. So stand by for Maimouna Yusuf, also known as Mumu Fresh, to hear how she collaborates with other Indigenous artists to create a powerful mix of music and activism. Also on our playlist, Frank Warren, the Native American hip-hop artist who raps in the Lakota language. We start with the Grammy-nominated Colombian-Canadian singer and songwriter Lido Pimienta. Lido is going to be joining us in just a moment, but first, here she is performing on the Stream back in 2018. Mario Pimienta, performing Agua on the stream 3 years ago. Welcome back.
I mean, it's been a lot. A lot has happened. A lot has happened. We were performing at the Grammys. The album has been recognized worldwide. Miss Colombia, La Papesa era was beautiful. I was able to, you know, bring to the world the baby that was inside of me when I was performing for you. And now she takes over my life. Everything colorful in my studio is for her. This is her little modern home that I made out of cardboard, so she can help me and just continue to resist. Yeah.
So Lido, I'm thinking, because we just watched you perform Agua, which is 3 years ago, which is about Indigenous rights, respecting Mother Nature. Do you see, looking back then, an evolution in your music? Do you think, I've grown, I've changed, I'm doing something different now?
I think that I am in constant motion and in constant evolution. And I think that until our struggles and until the things that we're singing about end in peace and in the rights and in the right hands, then I'm probably going to start singing about other things, you know. But I feel like there's an evolution in sound and that my message is only becoming stronger, for sure.
The nomination for Best Latin Rock or Alternative Album featuring traditional Colombian instruments and Afro-Colombian album, what does that mean for people in Colombia and also for people in Canada? What did they tell you about that?
Everyone was extremely supportive and extremely happy. You know, I'm not really a person that is reading labels and things like that. And I do feel like a lot of my music does come out of my heart. But when it's recognized, you know, that the sounds come from a specific place or a specific people, it gives us more strength, you know, which is what my music is about. So people were very happy, very proud in Canada. People were in full celebration. So yeah, I mean, I made sure that I made my message clear. I made sure that we performed, that we created a show, you know, and that's what we gave people. So I'm very proud and very happy to have shared the stage with 2 Afro-Indigenous artists. I'm happy that we were able to feature all Latin American, Colombian art. So yeah, we did what we came to do.
We're looking at some of the pictures from your Grammy performance, and underneath on YouTube, I was looking at the comments. This is literally the most beautiful form of pure art I've seen in the longest time. This is mesmerizing. This is art. Lido, tell us about how you conceptualized the look of your performance. What were you trying to do?
Everything that I do comes with intention. Everything that I do, everything that I put out, I have already thought about it. Some of the imagery comes to me in dreams. Some of the imagery, I collaborate with visual artists that are like-minded. This collaboration for the Grammys I did with artist Orly Anon, and she is a Colombian artist based in Mexico City, and we have a beautiful friendship. And she also did the art direction for the cover of my album. So it only made sense that I work with her again. We've done music videos together, and I work with an old crew of Indigenous, Black, diasporic artists. And that's why you can really see when people, the reaction is so true, because that's exactly where all of the art came from memory, from all of our struggles and the love that we have for color and nature. That's what that song is about, and that's what the performance was about.
The Grammys are expanding how much space they have for Latin artists, and I remember when you were on the stream 3 years ago, you talked about why you sing in Spanish, why that's important. Let me just remind our audience what you said.
Well, yeah, first I will ask who can speak Spanish, and then there's like 2 people that can, and then I'm like, well, this is the perfect time to download your Rosetta Stone app or Inglés Sin Barreras. You know, it's like, I don't know if that app exists, but I do know that the Rosetta Stone multilingual programs were really hot. So I'm like, there should be an app for that. You should download it, because I am not about to translate this. I'll contextualize a little bit, but yeah, it's good.
Lydia, I feel like people are coming around to your way of thinking, because the performance at the Grammys, the fact that you were nominated, the reception of Miss Colombia, how do you feel people now are looking at Indigenous artists where they may not be performing in English, which was, if you want to be successful, you kind of have to sing in English?
Yeah, I think that the dominating people in the music industry, the majority are people of color. And that a big branch of the mainstream music industry are, you know, Caribbean descendants, Colombians, you know, that are making a sort of mix between pop and, Caribbean sounds. You know, what I do still is art, and it's not something that is readily sold to the masses like some of the pop that's out there. But I do feel like because music in Spanish has been more accepted, and it's mainly because, you know, second and third generation people my age and like the youth are listening to the music of, you know, their culture and their countries that represent them. So I feel like the music industry is simply reflecting what the audience wants, you know, and because it's still an industry and because it's still a business, they're realizing that they have to make space for other languages and other cultures. And we still have ways to go, but, you know, I embrace any kind of change in the right direction.
Lido Pimienta, back on the stream after a 3-year hiatus, always growing, always fascinating. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Femi.
Next on our playlist, Maimouna Youssef, aka Mumu Fresh. When she appeared on the stream, she shared a story that made my eyes roll. Maimouna is Native American and African American, but was told by the TV show American Idol that she wasn't American enough to compete.
They said I was too ethnic. I was too ethnic, and if they have an ethnic idol, they'll be sure to give me a call. Yeah, so...
what does that even mean?
What does it even mean? I mean, it shows you where the values lie, you know.
Would you believe in the good I've done, or will my name be smeared and my story unsung? Search for the answer to take what they hand us. Who's gonna stand with me? Please, please, please don't forget about me. Oh, say my name. Oh, say my name. Don't let it be in vain. Oh, say my name. Oh, say my name. Ooh, my name. Oh, say my name.
You have a unique
backstory. I guarantee no one else has a backstory like yours. To prove it, I'm going to show our audience some pictures of you. Let's start with this one here. Have a look on my laptop. This is stunning. I'm going to show a picture of your grandmother and your mother. This is where your musical inspiration, your musical education started. Would you explain? Because a lot of people will be looking at these pictures going, say what? Tell us.
Well, I learned to sing at home with my mother and my grandmother in the kitchen. A lot of times people will ask my mother, who also is a vocal coach, to train them to sing, and they think that she's gonna, set up at a piano and teach them notes, and she'll make them come, shuck corn and pick greens, and because for traditional people, singing is it's like breathing, it's like praying. It is a part of what you do as a